Hi there, I'm Ahsan Ali Shaw, and you're watching me on YouTube and Facebook Live. Today, we are going to talk about mental health. What is mental health and the significance of mental health? And when we talk about mental health, then people have a perception of mental health is when a person doesn't have any mental conditions or disabilities. Reality is, mental health is much more than that. Mental health is the definition of mental health comprises of four elements. First of all, you realize the potential of your own abilities. It means you work on yourself, your skills, your expertise, your spiritual path, or whatever it is, whatever your journey is, you work on yourself. Secondly, you will learn to deal with your stress. It means you don't rely on drugs and drinking to deal with stress. You deal with stress by creative ways, by talking with friends, reading, going out, talk, exercising. These are the healthier ways to deal with stress. And thirdly is doing productive work. And fourth is making contribution to the society. Those four elements, these are the definition of mental health, is working on yourself, dealing with your stress in a healthier way, uh, making contribution to the society, and doing the productive work. When you are doing all of these elements, you are mentally healthy. Well, there could be some other elements, but these are the four general elements. And according to a study conducted by National Alliance, approximately every one in five person is facing mental health conditions annually in the US, according to another study conducted by National Institute of Mental Health Association. Approximately 11.3 million people diagnosed with mental health conditions in 2017. Mental health, and there are many other factors that triggering when we talk about mental health, and there are many triggering uh, factors that cause mental health, and those factors are socioeconomic is top of the list, biological, traumatic experience, many others, and mental health is our topic for discussion today, and we are going to have a roundtable discussion, and my guests are Gary Murk. He has joined us from Alberta, Canada. He is
Oh,
a modern day shaman. And the second guest is Jackie McGrath. He has joined us from Queensland, Victoria, Australia. Hey, Jackie.
Hello, how are you both?
I'm doing good. Hey,
30
Gary.
degrees outside. Look at this. I mean, it's beautiful. It's warm. It's sunny. Uh,
Oh, beautiful.
we've never seen weather like this, to be honest
Mhm,
with you. Okay.
mhm.
The amount of heat that we've had and the warmth and everything else and the lack of rain. Uh, yeah. I mean, in 60 years, I haven't been here that long in Alberta, but I can tell you that those that I've talked to and even growing up here, we've never seen anything like this up north. If we go down to the western part, yeah, we can see a lot of high heat, but not up north. So take it while we can, even if it's
Yeah, absolutely.
that's another subject for a whole other ball of wax.
Yeah. When we, uh, Gary, when we talk about you talking about the weather, and
Yes,
mental health is also important to enjoy this weather. When you are facing, going through, and you have so many things in your mind, then you can enjoy the beauty of weather and beauty of nature and
of
the
course.
company around you and the smallest things. And how do you define mental health?
Hmm. How do I define mental health? Well,
Yes.
first off, healthy mind, healthy body, healthy spirit. Okay, so if my mind is healthy, my body should be healthy, and my spirit should be healthy. If my mind is not healthy, then the rest of it is all out of whack. So, one of the things of alchemy is the three elements: what I put into my mind, what I put into my body, and what's around me. So these three elements help balance whether or not my mental activity is healthy or unhealthy. And in today's world, well, you step out in the streets and believe me, it's not very healthy. The stress that's with the peoples, the stress that's with the governments, the stress that's with all of this is putting undue stress on a great deal of peoples. In fact, when we look at everything and we look at the health issues that are going on and all the COVID numbers, the one thing they're not talking about is how many people are committing suicide. Okay. In fact, the suicides are up 30 to 40% in many parts of the world. One of the highest rates that we've ever seen. We're seeing, abuse of families. We're seeing the stress, this mental stress, this panic, this anxiety from all the bullshit that's coming. Sorry to say it that way, but all the bullshit that is being pushed down by the governments, being pushed down by the health system, is affecting the mental health. So are the numbers that are dying from suicide being attributed to the COVID numbers and all of this going on? Because I'm talking to people left and right that are, their minds are breaking. Their spirit is broken. So how do we address this? What, by going like, let's bell talk and let them do a whole scenario and just ride the bandwagon for branding? Mental health is the ability for us to think clearly, to see clearly, to feel clearly. But with everything around us, we can't see what's going on because it's all the lies that are being shoved our way. And then we can't see within because the lies have blinded us. And now we can't see where we are with our mind. The highest rate among genders of suicide in the world is men. That is the highest rate anywhere in the world, is men are taking their lives. Okay, so we can go into this whole scenario. And why is it happening? Well, let's look at what's going on. How many men have lost their jobs? How many women have lost their jobs? A single mother with the family trying to support them is barely making it in the first place and now doesn't have a job, doesn't know where the money's coming in. Then the government says, I'm going to give you money, but you got to pay it back. So it's a total ricochet to this, the mental capacity of just how much can a human take. I've seen it. I've had my own scenarios, and I had a point in life where it broke me. The stress around me, the stress of everything that was going on, and the mental confusion that brought me to a point of darkness, that brought me to a point that I was so broken that the only thing I wanted to do was take my life. I tried, didn't work. I ended up in a mental institute for almost 3 weeks. They tried to force medications on me. They tried to force restrictions on me. And all I needed was for somebody to listen to me. That's all I needed, was to hear the story, hear what's going on in my mind, what's going on in my heart, what's going on with everything around me that's falling apart. And what I found myself doing was interacting with everyone that was in there, close to 30 patients in this ward that were on all sorts of medications. They were changing medications, people falling flat on their face, drooling in the corners, total isolations, panic stricken, all of this. And what I found myself doing was interacting with them in a group, getting them to speak, getting them to share story, getting them to share, like, don't sit in your corner, come over here. And when I left that day from that mental institute, the head psychiatrist come up to me and says, I don't know why you're here. I said, really? You put me here because I tried to take my life. So you felt I was a threat. So you're telling me that, or ask me like, why am I here? I needed somebody to listen to me. That's all I really needed. I needed somebody to listen. And he says, what we saw from you is what we should be doing. I said, well, what was your first clue? Where is the system, the medical support system that is there to help understand what's going on with the patient? That means the ability to speak. But nowadays, you go into these hospitals, you go in to see the doctor, and you don't have enough time to speak to them. They say you only have 2 questions. And then they have a medical chart on the wall. It's got all the pills that they can prescribe for all the antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication. It's a total bunch of bullshit. This mental dispersion that we're seeing within the peoples is based upon the system. The system has brought this onto us. The system has brought the foods onto us that are not healthy. The air's not healthy. The water's not healthy. And then you throw this other thing into perspective. So where's the mental health? It's all over the map. And it's not just adults. It's youth and children, because the parents are in dismay. The child wants to speak to their parent. The parent won't speak to them because they're in a mental disorder that they can't have conversation with their children. So it's affecting the children. So the trauma that's being brought into the child is something that they're going to grow with. And it's just going to keep on multiplying and multiplying and multiplying until we, the peoples, not the government, not the system, come together and understand what unity is. This festival that I did for 3 days brought people from all walks of life together. People that, yes, were questioning what was going on in their mind. And what we showed was through the power of love, of acceptance and welcoming, they saw truth. They saw the ability to see more within. They were able to feel and understand what these feelings were. So what does it take to fix the problem? It takes you and I and others coming together, speaking, sharing story, sharing truths, and understanding that the power of the mind is just as powerful as the power of the heart. It's time to bring the two of them together.
Yes,
So,
indeed. And wonderful to say it point and to the point, directly to the point. And the thing about mental health is everyone is vulnerable to mental health or mental health conditions.
yeah,
It could happen to anyone. It's just
uh,
matter of time.
yeah,
Just change the circumstances, just change the variables, and you would be impacted. You would be affected by the mental health. And then we talk about listening. And Jackie, I want you to how listening is important in the mental health, in maintaining the mental health condition.
Listening, did you say?
Yes, listening.
Look, this is such a huge topic, isn't it? Especially in this
Mhm,
day and age. And I know what you were saying, and I will go back to the listening aspect, Ahsan. But
mhm,
today, I question that 1 in 5 at the moment, like 1 in 5 people, and that's a huge statistic. But this day and age, I think that it's almost the majority of people would be feeling
mhm.
under a lot of stress and
yeah,
having mental health issues at the moment.
It,
It is
some,
overwhelming. Everybody is talking about, that one issue and being all consumed by it, at the moment. Except, and you've got to try and take yourself away from it. Otherwise, yes, we're going to have a lot of mental health issues. And I can see when this is over that there will be so many people needing to work with people that have these mental health issues of anxiety and depression and, what the hell just happened to us all. And as you're saying, listening, like that is huge. Mental health to me is, being in a space of mind where you can, when you encounter something in your life that is a stress, you have a way of dealing with it in a healthy way. Mental health issues come about when you can't find a solution to things. You get very overwhelmed, and then things just pile on, and you get overwhelmed by things, and you can't find a way out by yourself. That's
mm,
where this listening thing comes in. If you can talk to someone, and I remember, like Gary, and I'm sorry to hear that Gary went through it, but I think, like you were saying, Ahsan, that nearly everyone has been through some point in their life where they've just felt like there was no way out. Or that, or, not that there wasn't a way out, as in, I've got to get out of this world, but just how am I going to get out of this depression? When will this anxiety stop? And I remember being in the midst of a total panic attack. And honestly, this panic attack lasted about 3 months. And I'm not kidding. It was, I have spoken about it before, where I couldn't, to the point where I couldn't dress myself and I was crawling around on the floor. My children had to help me dress, and I just couldn't at that point see how I was going to get out of it. And the thing is too, I didn't understand it. And from understanding it, when I finally got to understand what anxiety and panic attacks and depression and things like that were, that's when you can start building for yourself and finding solutions. And I did have a friend who I just grabbed one day and I said, please tell me that there is a way out of this and I will get better and it will pass. And she said, Jackie, it will. It will pass. And I knew she'd been through it. So I hung on to that. I can tell you, I hung on to that thought so much. And so and it gave me so much hope. And so I think then having someone to talk to about it that understands, that is just willing to listen and not just plonk everything, oh, don't be so silly. Because I did have a friend too who said, oh, don't be so stupid, Jackie. Just snap out of it. I tell you what, that's the worst probably thing that you can say to someone, because for a start, you
Slap up
don't
the
know
side of the
how to
head. Boop.
you don't know how to get out of it. You're doing your best. You feel like you're doing your best, but you really don't have the tools when you're not informed about what it actually is. It's the first time you've encountered it, and all of a sudden, and you don't realize this stuff happens gradually. It creeps up on you. That's why I was saying, like, you need to learn. Mental health is learning along the way, not to suppress anything, to allow everything to arise and come out, and deal with it in proportion. And so once you can do that, there's your mental health. And there's many ways to do it. And if we're taught this stuff in school from young, I've been trying to teach my grandchildren about, different ways of how, even watching the sun coming up and being in the sunshine and the foods that you eat and keeping your body clean and not, and energized with beautiful foods and things, not that depressive processed food all the time. We've got to keep and breathing. Oh my gosh, breath work, and just really feeding, or exercise, just feed everything that feeds, being creative, just keeping yourself in a really good state of mental health will keep away mental illness. But in this day and age, like it's going to be very difficult at the moment. Everyone's trying, as much as you don't want to be stressed out by things, you can't help. You walk out the door, it's right there in front of you. And, you're trying to be strong every time you go out and hold yourself and stay in your power. And you go out, and it is very, very difficult to stay in that and have that persona that, I'm fine, everything's okay, I'm not buying into this stuff. It's still there in your face every time you step out the front door. But, just enjoying the little things, the real simple things. I think that's what mental illness will bring you back to simplicity, because you have so much appreciation and gratitude for. I remember hanging out the washing one day, and each peg, I was aware of each thing I hung on the line, each peg I put on the clothes, and I was just in awe of what I could do compared to not being able to do anything and function. And so it's really simple things. You come back to really appreciating what you can do and having gratitude for everything.
Yes, indeed. And Gary, when you talk about statistics, the statistics are top of the roof. Every 1 in 5 person is facing faces with mental health conditions annually, and according to another study, 11.3 million people are diagnosed with mental health conditions in
Well,
2017, 1 year alone. And those statistics haven't stopped there. Look at
no,
the current
no.
condition. Look at the current conditions,
Oh
the
my God.
pandemic, the economic circumstances, people are losing their jobs, and the masking, vaccination, forced vaccination. You are now, you won't travel anywhere without vaccines. All of these things,
Okay,
these are not just,
let's open
these are all,
Pandora's box. Okay,
hmm,
we're going to open
yes,
up
indeed.
Pandora's box. In fact, everybody that's listening in, you need to start to understand two other laws that supersede all other laws. One of them is called the common law, and the other one is called the spiritual law. There is a spiritual law that exists. It is the top of all of the laws. There is also the common law, and then there is the constitutional laws. The common law gives you grounds to fight against this because one off, I just was reading what's happening with Kim down in the United States. They're forcing the vaccination. They're forcing the vaccination on children. They're threatening you with loss of your job. They do not legally have the grounds to do this. So you need to understand the common law. You need to find those that understand it so you can help fight back with this. Okay? Because the moment you step into a court of law and you start reciting the common law, the judges run for the hills because they cannot fight it. Okay? It is the most powerful law that we have. But many of us don't even know that it exists. Before COVID started, Edmonton, one city, had a rate of suicide of 11 people per week. 11.
Hmm.
That has tripled. Now,
Jeez.
take in the amount of people being forced to go against their will to take a vaccination. How many is it right now of the 7 billion people on the face of this earth are faced with mental distraughtness, are faced with mental pressure, are faced with the breaking point that one off they take their life or they take the life of somebody else. There was a family here 3 weeks ago. A father set the house on fire, killed his 3 children, killed his wife, and then took his own life because he lost everything. How far is this going to go? It's going to go as far as it will go as far as it's going to go if we allow it to still happen. We have to come together as peoples. We have to support people. We have to listen to them. We have to tell, like what Jackie was told. You will get over it. Okay. But you need a support network. And the hospitals are not a support network. The
Mm.
doctors are not a support network because all they're going to do is force you to take a pill, put on a mask, and you know what? You're in this dominoes effect, okay? And it's going to spin out of control. One way or another, it's affecting all of humanity. It's not just the individual, it's not just one part of the world, it's affecting humanity, okay? We are being pushed to the breaking point. How far can we go? How much more can we take? I am extremely strong. After going through everything that I've gone through in life, it has brought me to a point where try it. Try and push me down that road. Try and force me to take a vaccination. Try and force me to wear a mask. Try and force me to do anything against my will. And you're going to be met with a dragon because I've been at the darkness and I will stand outside of it. But I am one person. How many out there are looking for that strength? They're so fearful because somebody is of a superiority or a superior said, if you don't do this, you're going to lose your job. If you don't wear a mask, you're going to lose a job. So you wear a mask, you get sick, you're getting sick from wearing the bloody mask. And then there's the ones that are so filled with mind fuckery that they're believing that this is going to help me and the vaccination is going to help me, and then they get sick and somebody dies. Jodie is a prime example of a mother that was forced to take the vaccination and her child is dead. So there's a child that didn't even get the chance to come into the world. because they were forced to take that vaccination. So you know what? Yeah, okay. We have to stand up. We have to support each other. We have to band together, not in aggression, but we have to come together and, hold somebody. You know what? I'm there for you. I'll hold you. I'll hold space for you. I will listen to what you're going through. I don't have a solution for you, but I do have a solution to listen to you. I can understand your pain. I can understand what's going on inside of the stress of the mind. You may have lost you're losing your job. You're losing your business. You're losing everything that you've worked so hard for. And now you're faced with what? Now you got to get a passport that says you got vaccinated. You know what? The airlines have now stopped forcing that upon pilots because they get up to a certain point high in the air and they're dying. Well, you know what? You want to get on a plane nowadays with an airline pilot that's got a vaccination? I don't want it. That's an extra level of stress. I mean, is he going to die in mid-flight? Is the stewardess going to fall over with the whiskey? Or all of this. The scenarios that we can go on and on and on and on are actually happening. There are
Yes,
people that are starving. There are people that are being forced against measures. There's governments that are forcing farmers to burn their crops so that we will have a shortage in food supply. All of this is coming forward. What is that going to do to the mental stability of humanity? It's going to break it. And while the rich are sitting up on the top eating their steak and lobsters and, flying around the world in their private jets and sitting on their golden thrones and buying their luxury, they don't give a hoot and holler. The governments don't give a hoot and holler. They only see you as a number, a statistic. You make it, they make money off you. You don't make it, well, guess what? A statistic. So
mm,
what do? We come together. We support each other. We listen to each other. We reach out. We offer. I offer. You have a problem. You have something spinning in your mind right now. Reach out to me. I will listen to you. I may not have a
yes,
solution for you, but I will listen.
yes, indeed, Gary. And
Mm.
Jackie, the question is, social. When you talk about those triggering points, then the socio-economic factor is top of the list. When there's something happening in the society or people around you, or you are going through some financial troubles, then all of these things, these are the main factors. As long as they are there, then you won't be able to stay healthy, stay calm, and stay mentally focused. In order to do that, in order to be to achieve mental calmness, those factors, those socioeconomic factors, financial, job, and all of these, they should be in line aligned with the circumstances.
Yeah. Look, that's what I was saying before, is that when you can bring balance and deal with things and be more, if you can be more solution focused, rather than focusing on the issue, just try and do it. And, what I had to do was do right step by step by step by step. So whatever issue arose, so financial pressures today are just enormous, aren't they? That's a huge thing, what you were saying, as well as everything else. That's all the social pressures going on at the moment as well. So I think, when we've just got to find solutions to these things and ways of dealing with things in a small step each time. So if you have an issue, a problem, write it down, write all the steps down to get from where you are to where you want to be, and just maybe try to do a little step each day towards that. So it's not an overwhelming thing, and really try to be solution focused. See, visualize where you want to be. So, we know visualization is such an important part, because you're retraining your mind to think of yourself in a different way, right? And your life in a different way. And if you can picture that and embrace all the feelings that would come with that, then you're well on the way to, you know, improving your state of mental health. So that's, yeah, but definitely what you were saying. Financial issues are a huge thing, and sometimes you feel like there's no way out of that. And I don't really
I
have a
think
solution for that except just to, what I said, just step by step by step, so you don't get overwhelmed by it.
I think
I
what
think
is
for
this noise in the background? The noise. I think
Yeah, what's
Jody
that?
is coming from your side.
hold on.
Wow,
Okay,
doozy.
one.
Oh,
Okay, I think when we talk about financial issues, then one of the main reasons behind suicide is financial troubles. When people lost their job, they don't have money to support their families, to feed their kids, to get their children into the schools, or have a standard and better life. Then people commit suicide. And now, Mike, again, my question is: you deal with spirituality and Gaia. You are Gaia alchemist, modern day shaman,
Yeah.
and you help many people. You help out many people and to release who are facing with anxiety and depression. And a question is, and
Yes.
I was reading a study the other day that people who believe in something, the stress and depression and anxiety is lower among those people. And how important is spirituality and these light works and the universe and cosmic and all of these elements are significant in mental health and their role in it.
At the moment when I found myself broken, there is the serenity prayer. You know, God, you know, grant me this, grant me this. You know, the three parts of the serenity prayer. And for almost a week, I couldn't remember it. Okay, and for me, the Christ and the God consciousness has always been part of my life, but I lost sight of it in that one moment. Okay, in fact, I lost sight of all of my spirituality. Once I grabbed a hold of the purpose of spirituality, I grabbed a hold of the purpose of who am I? Where am I? What, you know, take away from me that I'm powerless over. I cannot, I don't have power over, you know, somebody who poisoned my water pond. I didn't have power over somebody who decided to leave. I didn't have power over all of what was going on. And it was the ability to let go of that because I'm powerless. I can't what? I'm going to go and, you know, find a person who killed the fish. No, that's not going to work. Okay. Am I going to go and try and beg for the other one to come back? No, that's not going to work. Okay. So what did I have to do? I had to reach deep inside, deep, 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 deep inside to understand what my values were, to understand what my morals were, to understand what I no longer want in my life and what I will not accept to impose into my life. And that meant coming back to self and understanding that the most important person was me, not for what I was doing for others. And when I got out of the hospital, now I'm working with the medicines. I'm working with Gaia. I'm working with the essential oils. I'm working with everything that's empowering myself. Natural medicines, feeding myself rightly. As you know, I mean, for me, rightly is I feed myself well. Not 3 meals a day. I'm not a 3 meal type of person. Never have been. But I eat well. I chose what I was going to eat. So I started choosing brain foods. You know, lion's mane mushroom, for an example, chaga mushroom, for an example, adding this into my diets, getting sunshine, getting outside, breathing, going to a park, going to a forest, spending time with not in isolation, but in solitude to understand what happened. Why did it take me to that point? And I realized that it took me to that point because I was in this comfort zone. You know, everything's good, life is good, beautiful place, money's coming out of my yin yang, everything was good, but yet it wasn't because All of that was material.
Mm-hmm.
And we attach ourselves to material. And when things break, we're afraid of losing this material. You have to be able to, and not you have to be. I decided for me that can I leave this behind for the sake of my mental sanity, for the sake of my mental health? And I said, yes, I could leave it in a flash. I could disengage from the ownership of obligation and start all over again. Starting all over again is not hard. Letting go is hard because you're accustomed to your televisions, you're accustomed to your fancy beds, you're accustomed to your toilet paper, okay? And the ability to say, can I live without it? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Because you can decide to start over again in a basic way. Many people grow in life where they're growing with comforts. You know, they have an abundance of everything. So they don't know what it's like to be without anything. They don't know what it's like to be poor. They don't know what it's like to be without money. I grew up in a very, not a well off family. I mean, we had food on the table. Okay, we had one bedroom. We had a tub that we shared together. In fact, we didn't spend money on extra water. It was one tub and three children. So one would wash, another one would wash, and another one would wash. We learned ways that was, yes, a sacrifice, but it taught me something. It taught me that I don't need the abundance. The abundance is a comfort, okay? And it's a humbling experience to let go of that, to say, you know what? I start all over again. But I start all over again with a peace of mind. If it means taking bankruptcy and going bankrupt, to say, you know what? The creditors that are phoning you every day, you got to pay this, you got to pay this, you got to pay this. You know what? No, you don't. Do a bankruptcy and say goodbye to it. Okay? Start all over again. Rebuild. It's all a matter of perspective and a matter of willpower rather than folding into it. So, how do we catch it in midstream? Well, you know what? A man walking down the street or a woman walking down the street with a smile doesn't mean that they're happy. They may have a smile to show to you, but inside them is a turmoil, and they don't want to share that turmoil. If we're sensitive and more sensitive to life, we have a tendency to be sensitive to those around us, even though they're smiling. We can feel that something is not right. And that means offering a hand, offering a tea, offering, I have time for you. Okay. Not imposing, but say, you know what? If you need to speak, I'm there. Okay. Child, elder, or someone the same of your age. We need to be able to bring together peoples, okay, to understand that we together can help heal each other because the system is not going to heal us. We already know this. So we need to come together.
Yes, indeed. We need to come together, and simplicity is the solution. And wonderful points. And Jody joined us in the middle of discussion, and I think he is having some. There was some noise in the background. I think it's better now. Jody, you have been nurse for many years, and how do you see mental health as an issue among patients? And what you used to prescribe to people, and what doctors used to prescribe, and what are the most effective way in your experiences?
I know for me, I had a significant addiction problem starting at the age of 13. Gary knows my story very well. Um,
Mhm.
and the Serenity Prayer, I remember that I had two little kids, and I'm not proud of it, but it brought me to my knees. I had a crack problem. I put myself into a detox, and it was very, very torturous for me. I was on antidepressants, and in the detox, they told me I wasn't allowed to have my antidepressants. So I obviously had a breakdown. I had to, reboot my system with nothing. Um, and over the course, I found that working with addicts because Tampa, Florida has a huge, huge metropolis of homeless people everywhere. And a lot of these addicts would come in and you could see the brokenness in their face. Me being an empathetic person, I could relate to a lot of the women's struggle, and they were the most broken, downtrodden people. But for me, I think from a nursing perspective, pharma was more on pushing the methadone and getting the money for that dose versus checking in to see if the patients were okay. They were a number. It was probably 4 nurses per day. We had to dose like 200 patients. It was just lines out the door. It was big money making profit. And I had this one girl, her name was Natara. She had grown up in the system, foster care after foster care. She was living with a 60-year-old man. I don't need to explain what was going on with that. She was probably 26. She lost her little girl. I spent into the system, the same cycle that she was raised in. I invested quite a bit of time with her. She would always, I'd go out for my lunch break and she'd be waiting outside for me. I'm like, this is against, ethical boundaries according to what the methadone clinic was stating. But I invested a lot of energy into her, and I ended up leaving Manchester, New Hampshire methadone clinic and going up to Concord, and she followed me up there. And to this day, what little time I invested in her, she ended up getting her associate's degree in drug and alcohol counseling. She got reunited with her child. And the day that I left the methadone clinic, she was just like bawling her eyes out. It was very, very heartbreaking. But I think, like Gary said, if you can invest even a little bit of time into someone, you don't really truly know what their story is until you spend that time. But I think that in today's society and all the madness and everything that's going on and the pressure that's being put on humanity, I think a lot of people, are being baited with this constant fear mongering.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's overload. And I try to have compassion, but I learned a lot from Gary. Like, I have to say, Gary's my number one teacher when it comes to spirituality.
Okay, please.
Mm-hmm.
I invest a lot of energy into him. I absorb him. His vibration is very strong. I can feel it now. It's crazy. But, everybody's on a learning curve. We all got different timelines here. And I find for me, like, I get really irritated when I'm at the grocery store and I see people with 2 masks on. I'm just, and then they get in their car, they roll up their windows and they drive away. I have 2 beautiful sons. I begged and I pleaded not to get the jab. They both did. They caved under fear. One runs a homeless shelter in Manchester, New Hampshire, where he was telling me that the homeless people that are there have to sleep with their masks on.
What?
For 8 hours a day.
What?
Yeah, they're not allowed to take their masks off when they sleep. They have to sleep with their masks on. If they refuse to wear their masks when they sleep, they're not allowed to in the shelter at night. So you have all these people that are homeless, that are addicted, that have severe health issues, Vietnam vets, and they have to sleep 8 hours with their masks on. If that's not tragic, I don't know what is. I find for me that I get really stressed out with stupidity in all of the cruel things that are being done to humanity. And I'm very, very outspoken. And it's hard for me to contain my anger and my rage. Because I'm sitting here and I'm living in the state of Massachusetts where 70% of the population has been jabbed. And I'm like one of the oddballs. Like, people look at me like I'm weird. And it's like I'm fighting against the narrative. And it just seems like people are so traumatized that everybody's scattering and running in all different directions. There's all these conspiracy theories. This person's going to save you. That, you know what I mean?
Huh.
And it's just like, my son went and got it and I bawled my eyes out and I'm like, I'm living in a house now with I don't know if shedding's going on or what's going on. You know what I mean? This whole thing is just really traumatizing for a lot of people. And I think there's different timelines playing out here. And there's no unification. You know, you got people that are awake, and then you have people who will do anything the system tells them to do. I mean, we're even talking about boosters here. I'm like, are you kidding? You have
Yes,
antibody dependent enhanced immunity. That's what this is.
Mm.
yes. And uh, 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 Jody, you talk about addiction and all of these things, and it is very important to mention it here. And I discussed it in the intro that dealing with stress is also one of the element in the of the mental one of the element of definition of mental health is dealing with stress in a healthier way. When you fall on drugs, when you fall on drinking, then you are not dealing with stress. You are just using these unhealthy scores or toxic scores to deal with stress. They are not going to help you to manage stress. They're just you are just stressing it down. Jackie, how do you see this this element of using unhealthy things to manage stress?
Look, I too, like Jodie, was a nurse, and also worked a lot later on with homeless youth. And what I saw in the hospital, especially, and with, I guess, with the homeless youth too, that so many people, the drugs that you are giving out each day would be an antidepressant. It would include an antidepressant and sometimes Valium for anxiety. And it's a big cycle of things. And it's, it's the doctor's bread and butter. They've got certain drugs which they call their bread and butter, and it's the ones that they put everyone on. It'll be your diabetic drugs, your cholesterol, blood pressure, and depression and anxiety, right? And the majority of people would be on these same drugs. And I began questioning that in my mind. I've never been one for taking tablets for anything anyway, and sleeping tablets was another major thing as well. These people are not given alternatives and simple things like getting enough sleep and rest, calming your body, going within, just doing some meditation, get out and exercise and sunshine, like we were saying. And the same with the young people. We, at the refuge, we had an obligation to send them off to the doctors. We're not trained as such in what, to tell them that. It's a duty of care. You send them off to the doctors, and inevitably they would come back with a script for antidepressants or, anti-anxiety drugs or sleeping tablets. And it's like, what are they doing to our kids? It's again this numbing, and it's all money driven,
Mm.
just scripts, money, 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 money. There's no thought for anyone's mental health.
No,
There's no thought at all. Anyone that
No.
tells me that doctors care in that respect, it's bullshit. All right, they've got the certain amount. I've heard of doctors that get into trouble if they don't prescribe enough. They're not doing enough scripts. They're not doing enough. Sending them off for scans and other. To keep the whole medical cycle going. It's an illness cycle. It's not a. It's a sickness cycle. It's not a wellness cycle. I was
It,
lucky enough. Sorry, Gary, I'll just say this. I was lucky
mhm,
enough when I had all the anxiety that I had and panic attacks, that when one particular doctor I went to, thank God for him, he said, Jackie, you need to meditate and do yoga. Huh. It
mm.
was like, huh? Oh, thank God. Yeah,
it's
I will
simple.
do that. And that,
Mhm.
I can't tell you, that changed my life. Once I started doing yoga and learning meditation, oh my gosh, my life changed from that moment on. And, you know, simple things. There's simple things you can do. There's even, what I was talking about, people that are depressed, if you go and watch the sunrise and just keep your eyes focused on the sun, just start with a few minutes at a time, but you can watch the sun coming up and rise till it leaves the horizon, and that infuses into your body. It starts all these chemical reactions which are so good for you. And also there's if you eat oranges and pineapple together, that's also an amazing way to change the chemicals in your body to release good feeling chemicals. Exercise, just keep walking. I just keep walking. Like when I was anxious, it was just, just keep walking until you feel something change and shift in your body, because those endorphins will start, to come into play once you've reached that level of exercise where you just stimulate everything, and then you get the endorphins going. There's increases your serotonin levels, you start feeling good. There's just so many simple things, and keep yourself moving. I know depression, when you're in a state of depression, you don't think you can do anything. It's just do something that's a little bit different, for your day.
What?
Yes, the definition and the solution is very simple. It is to rely upon the simple things like exercising, uh, going out for walk, talking with friends, and sharing your feelings, and find someone who listen to you, and meditation, yoga, all of these things, they are very simple things. These are a part of a healthy life routine. If you follow it, then I don't think you're gonna find yourself in a dealing with stress or mental health conditions. And Gary, your final thoughts.
What is the definition of depression? It's repression. You are pushing away everything that you do not want, and it's coming at you at such a velocity that you've lost it. So depression really is the repression of everything that has come that is in turmoil within your life. Some of it is by choice, some of it is not by choice. What you have to understand through it, in all of it, is that the power of your heart is the strongest medicine that you have. That means to love yourself, to respect yourself, to understand your basic needs, your basic wants, and your desires that keep you healthy, not rich, healthy, healthy of mind, healthy of body, healthy of spirit. Meditation, breathing, herbs, teas. The pharmaceutical industry tried to eradicate many of the medicines of Gaia: chamomile tea, blue tansy, and other plants that can be used. There are sleeping plants, so to speak, that will help you sleep and wake in the morning and feel refreshed, versus taking a pill that you take and it zones you out, pushes everything off the side, and you wake up and you feel like a zombie. The whole medical system is doing nothing but turning you into zombies. That is what the pills do. Let go of it. The medicine of Gaia has been around since the dawn of time. If you have a problem to deal with something within your health, whether it's high blood pressure, whether it's stomach issues, whether it's the mind, reach out and speak to me. Reach out and speak to me, because I can tell you things that are around you within your space, from the pine trees to chamomile to blue tansy to other plant species that you can collect freely, freely. And at the same time, the magic of Gaia is helping you to ground yourself. You're touching the earth. You're touching the medicine of the most beautiful mother of all. She will give you the medicines that you need. She will allow you to be at peace with yourself. If you don't believe it, come spend some time with me. You sit here in the
Yeah,
backyard.
Mother Nature is our best caretaker. Jody, your final thoughts on mental health. Mental health.
Um, I think, like Jackie had touched upon, I think the medical system that we have now is not a system of advocating for health. It's a system of creating total dependency, a cycle that goes round and round and round, and it's all about profits. It's not about looking at people as individuals, as humans. I think that we just had a huge lawsuit here that was finished in the United States, directed at the opiate industry.
Yep.
And it was a $1 billion lawsuit. And I think that we have a lot of medical tyranny going on right now. It's not just here in the United States, it's global. We have New Orleans, which has about 400,000 people. They're not allowed to even go into the gym or get on the Amtrak unless they have a vaccine passport.
That's bullshit. Sorry.
New York City has a population of 800,000. You need a vaccine passport. All along the West Coast, it's picking up. It's medical tyranny. They will okay, the United States government will okay a woman to go to a reproductive center and willingly have an abortion, but you don't have a decision on whether or not you want to take a jab. I won't say that because things are very censored. But the whole system is broken and it's crumbling, and you can see all the flaws. And I think that for me, I find a lot of comfort in Gary's teachings. I have a lot of issues. I'm referring all of my boys one by one to him. He already met my oldest one. He's got an upcoming meeting with my other one, and the week after that, he's probably going to meet my other ones. I find comfort in Gary's teachings. He's opened a lot to me, and he's taught me a lot of grounding. I do boxing a lot. I do kickboxing. I will go to the gym and I will beat a bag for like 75 minutes. I mean, I'm pouring sweat.
Don't want to get in your way.
My other two boys do martial arts. It is what it is, but like Jackie had said, the endorphins are going. It's very healthy. And it's not about feeling like, oh, I'm going to come and beat you up or anything like that. It's about the rush, the endorphins and everything else. I leave there feeling really grounded. Then I come home and I meditate, because for me to deal with the public and to go in society, sometimes I go out of my mind. I feel like I'm waiting for ET to come and pick me up and go to a different planet.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Because I mean, I'm at the gym and people will come up to me. It's like, I don't even know these people. Usually, hold on. You're going to laugh at this, Gary. Usually if I introduce myself to someone, I'm like, hi, how are you? These people are so brainwashed. Hi, how are you? I just went and got my first jab. Okay. Do I know you? Do you want to know when I had my last pap smear? My last breast exam? I don't care. Keep your mouth shut about it. Yeah. It's crazy.
Jodie, here's a trick. And as everybody in the audience is listening, if you ask somebody, how are you doing? You opened up Pandora's box right away. So change the narrative. It's nice to see you. Okay. It's nice to see you. That's it.
Open-ended shut, bang.
Open-ended shut. Somebody phones on the phone. It's like, how are you doing? No, it's nice to hear from you. Don't open up the story. You can curate space. You can hold space. You can offer heart space, but do not jeopardize your sanity for that of another. That is a number one rule of my book. I will not jeopardize my sanity for the sake of another. I learned the hard way. I did it for many years. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
It is nice to hear from you.
Hug somebody. You know what? Don't even say a word. Just go up to somebody and hug them. You see that person walking down the street with their head hanging out? Hug them. They might push you away. Hug them. Don't say anything. Just hug them.
I mean, sometimes I feel like I live in the land of zombies. Mm-hmm. I'm at a boxing class. I don't know you. How are you? Really? I'm just, I don't know.
Yeah. Yes,
There's
indeed.
just different timelines playing out. You know what I mean?
Look, Asan, everybody, I think we
Yes,
need to continue this type of
we,
discussion
we
next
yes
week as
we are.
well. In fact, a
Yeah,
series of it, because it's getting critical and it's at critical mass right now. And what we are showing is that we're reaching out to people. We're here to listen to you. You know what? If everybody bombards me at one time or you at one time, we can only deal with one person at a time. Okay. So, like it takes time, but we're here to offer advice. We're not here to tell you what to do. We're here to offer you advice through heart,
yes.
through love, through appreciation, and through surrender.
Gary, I'm thinking about the same thing that we should continue this topic.
Oh,
We
yeah,
haven't discussed.
definitely.
We haven't discussed the triggering points
Oh, God, no.
that cause mental health, and
No.
we will discuss it in the next week. And Jackie, your final thoughts on mental health, that whatever we have discussed so far.
I just want everyone to realize, they're unique and the world needs them. And, and we will get through all this madness at the moment. Peace comes from chaos. It always does. That's just the cycle of things. And for one reason or another, this stuff has to happen at the moment, whether it's brought us to that point where we have to go inside ourselves and realize that, all those things that innate knowing that we have, that ability to heal that we have within ourselves, that we have to now, reconnect with. It's always been there, but we've just been so disillusioned with everything, in this illusionary world. So I just dance, laugh, love, create, and just know that we're here for you. Like Gary was saying, we're here for you if you want to contact myself or anyone. We're not professionally trained as such in mental health, but as you can hear, we've all got experiences of it. Um, some of us come from medical backgrounds that have been helpful, but to be honest, the medical background, that means
Mm,
nothing.
mm,
Experience and what you've been through, what you've learned and knowledge and picked up, and from what is within. At least we know that stuff. How to meditate, how to breathe. We know all these different techniques that might help you through anything that you're going through. So please, just keep in touch if anything becomes too difficult for you. But know you've got it all within yourself anyway.
And join me at
yes, and
9:33 for I'm going to
mm,
help you shake it off. So maybe it's time to
Shake
boogie.
it off.
Yeah, shake it off a
yes,
little bit. So 9:33.
Have a
yes,
All
dance.
indeed.
right.
Yeah, the simplicity is the solution, and Mother Nature and Mother Earth. It has every element. It has got everything to help
Yeah.
you to to uh, to manage your stress and to calm down. Going out for a country walk, looking at the flower, looking at the setting sun. These small things, they help you
Even
to
a
stay
spider.
calm too. Yeah, spider, the spider web. Just look at it, the magnificence of
Mm.
nature. It
Look at
just take your breath away.
just like you said, Hassan. Look at the intricacy of what a spider creates, the
Yeah,
patience, the tolerance, and you go and you take that web down, and you come back the following day, and the web's back up again.
yeah,
Okay, we can learn a lot from that.
yeah. The
We can
persistence.
the persistence.
Yeah.
Okay, don't lose hope. Don't lose
Mm.
faith.
Yes, indeed. And we will continue this our discussion on mental health. And today we had a very detailed discussion on spirituality and how spirituality helps you to deal with stress and in the mental health issues. And next week we are going to focus on the triggering points of
Mm,
mental health, the causes of it,
yep.
and we are going to have a very detailed discussion next week. And if you have any questions, just leave it in the comment box below. Reach out to Gary, reach out to Jackie, Jody, or myself. I'll answer it to you, Jackie, Gary. They will answer it to you as soon as they can. And thank you. Have a good day, good night, good afternoon, wherever you are. And thank you guys for your comments. Carol and many other people, Melissa, Marine, and so many people. And I'll acknowledge and read your comments one by one later on. Thank you. Have a good day, good night, good afternoon.